Coming up on CHGO Cubs, the Cubbies are off to a hot start in the Cactus League. Kings of the Cactus League. Will they ever lose? Who we're watching, why we're watching them. Some of the names might surprise you. Plus, Anthony Rizzo, Cubby reunion. Wait for it. Wait for it. Next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast. It is Monday, February 24th. Cactus League play is underway in Arizona. Cubs have another game this afternoon, and Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, and Sean is running the ones and twos for us. But we are here to talk Cubs baseball with you. Hello to everybody in the live YouTube chat. I see Godfather, Craig, and Shane are already here. Make sure you subscribe to that CHGO Sports YouTube page, because it's the best way to experience what we do. Give us the thumbs up while you're jumping into this chat, if you would, please. By the way, I got the new day drinking shirt on for CHGO. Day drinker. We got three different designs coming up for St. Patrick's Day.
I feel like we are opposite. We're doing opposite day. You're pretending
That's
to be
right.
me, and
You're
I'm
in the
pretending
plain
to be
blue
you.
hoodie.
Yeah, I'm wearing the blue hoodie. Wearing the normal like. You could wear this. I've seen you wear stuff like this, and you're wearing a day drinking shirt. I feel like we're playing opposite day.
Let me tell you about the under I'm taking on today. I got a hot play, Lamar versus...
Speaking of Lamar.
Anyways, yeah, we got some hot shirts coming out. If you get a chance, check them out at our website.
Yeah.
They're on the screen.
Oh, they're on
right
already?
now.
Oh,
They're on
beautiful.
the screen right now. There you go. I do like that hoodie. The hoodie is good.
Oh, I didn't know that there was a hoodie. Well, I didn't get that.
Guys, that's actually for the Birds Super Bowl. That's for
really?
Philadelphia. That's just green.
Oh, really?
That's just
Okay.
for the Eagles.
Oh, fly, Eagles, fly. Congratulations.
But I see our St. Patrick's Day stuff there. I just saw a hoodie and was like, oh, we have a hoodie?
By the
Apparently
way,
not.
CHGO Bears on their way down to Indianapolis for the Combine. Which guy would you least want to travel with in a car? I'll leave that open to discussion.
Carm.
I'm just going to leave it open.
Me and Greg Braggs are very similar
It's a tough
people.
call.
We could have a good time.
Out of the three, I think they're all pretty decent road trip partners. I think Braggs might be the worst.
What if Bragg
Because
starts
I think
doing
Braggs is
brick
real
lane
comfortable
stories?
with me. I think Carm and Adam would be respectful. I think Braggs would probably mess with me a bit too much.
That's a good way to say
Adam's a respectful adult. Worst thing that happens is Adam falls
Well, he's
asleep.
probably doing two or three
Carm-
podcasts on the way down there, while he's in the car.
Carm will trigger me with his bad Cubs takes, so that's why I said Carm.
Those guys fight over everything. They were fighting over bagels this morning when I was in here putting this show together. I was like, oh, man,
At least
how are they
with-
going to get together?
At least with Braggs, we can talk about 120 Club and how both of our college basketball teams are ruining our lives right now. So, but anyway,
Cubs are off to a 4-0 start. The only
never lost.
4-0 team in the Cactus League. The Cubs are undefeated in 2025.
Bears and Cubs haven't lost in 2025.
So I ask you this, Cody. 4-0.
Yeah.
Hey, Cody, just to say, neither have the White Sox. So. Oh, wait. No, wait. We lost spring training games.
I was gonna say, I thought you lost
Yeah.
to the Cubs.
Yeah.
Well, I was like,
We
spring training
lost
doesn't
to the
count.
Cubs already
Yeah.
once this year.
No.
Well,
we lost.
that's kind of the joke that Luke is making here. We're getting excited about spring training.
Yeah, that's
wins,
right. So I ask you this. Is there anything that lets you believe that this means something? Or is it just a big ball of nothing?
most of it is a big ball of nothing. But I will say, in the first couple games, the starters offensively have been impressive. And like PCA had a 3-hit game yesterday, which is exciting to see. He had a bad spring last year, so I'm happy to see him come out a little hot this spring. Kevin Alcantara has been impressive so far. I would say Other notable players, like I know we've made jokes about it in the office already, and I've only been here for 35 minutes. But like Gage Workman has caught my eye a little bit.
Oh, wait for it. That's coming. That's coming.
And you want to talk about the actual importance of spring training is Gage Workman is a guy who's out here trying to earn a job. Kyle Tucker is a guy that should only play once a week. You know what I mean? In the spring. So yeah, should we put too much emphasis into Gage Workman hitting a homer in the first game and the awesome defense that he displayed? No, but at the same time, he is a guy who's trying to earn a spot. And with Matt Shaw still, who hasn't played a spring training game, Nico Horner, who spent yesterday in the freaking broadcast booth, it's like, unfortunately, this is the reality that we're in. And so I could sit here and yell and complain about a lot of things that I complain about in the offseason, or I could just accept reality and just pay attention to like some very key spots. And third base is what I've been looking at these first 4 games. So Gage Workman is a guy I'm looking at. I feel like Brad Keller was impressive in his first appearance. Presley pitched for the first time yesterday, kind of struggled. So I don't care about his results. It's just there are guys that I'm looking at. Riley Martin, a non-roster invitee that pitched pretty well yesterday, that maybe he could be on the roster come the middle of the season. Like, I know these are little small things right now, but that's honestly what spring should be about. Do I care about the wins? No, I don't.
Well, I think it's sort of just like a bigger question. I've seen Alfonso Soriano look like the greatest hitter in the history of baseball in Cactus League and then not get off to a fast start. So, there'll be guys that hit 400 and you'll say, well, you got to play him because he got off to a good start. Oh, that's my theme music. I don't know where it's coming from, but every time I walk into a room, sometimes that plays.
I hit the W key on accident, and apparently that just immediately plays for What Chaos intro music.
That's right.
Our Roberto Blanco is asking if there's a hum, and Steven's currently on the floor fixing the hum. So no, this has been a stream that's got off to a very good start.
We're having some technical difficulties
when
here
I
in Studio
saw that
B.
comment, he said, is there a hum? I'm like, well, this show really does hum along. It's a bit of a buzz every time we do it. So
I could start humming for you every day.
Also, Steven, you guys weren't here yet, but Steven did sort of electrocute himself in this studio earlier today. So that could be the buzz that we're talking about.
Yeah. Anyways,
bless
him for helping us out the best he can.
Is it better? Do you guys hear the buzz still? Do you hear the hum? Rattle and hum? I think it's gone now.
All right. He says
Bobby Blanco says it's gone.
All right. Sick.
Nice. I did it. Great work. All it took was, the guy with the electric.
Yeah.
There it is.
Some of the people in this office are built different. Steven's one of them. All right.
It's all good. No, Vince says he still hears it. Vince still hears it. But that could be that natural buzz of the show.
Yeah.
That we create around the internet, around the globe, around.
All right, well, bear with us while we fix the humming.
We'll work on it.
Shane says that he'll send me another penny via Venmo if I hum Creed. So, which song would you like me to do?
Take that one?
Well, I mean, that's not humming, that's singing.
I think when people think Creed, they think Arms Wide Open.
Yeah, or higher. Yeah.
Anyway, you hum neither.
But the bigger picture thing, right? Like, I agree. I don't know that winning the Cactus League ever means anything. I have no idea, without even looking, I have no idea what their record was in 2016 in Cactus League play.
Yeah.
I don't know that translates for teams that have good seasons. I don't. But I ask you this. Is it possible that not the first 4 games, but let's say this were to continue and you started having success in the Cactus League? Not necessarily all the everyday starters. Is it possible that one thing it could signal, I'm not saying it definitely does, but could it signal that the floor is rising? My theory is this.
Yeah.
The guys that are really playing in Cactus League action are often, many times, names you don't know a whole lot about. They're prospects that are starting to come up through the system. How many times have you watched a spring training game and you watch the first 2 innings and you know everybody, and then the rest of the day you're watching names you have no idea? Guys that might not even be part of the organization, but also just might be a few years away and are starting to work their way up the system. So is it possible that a winning season or a winning Cactus League season can sometimes indicate that the floor of the franchise is coming up a little bit, that the talent level is starting to expand maybe a little bit? It might be a stretch, but I don't think it's the craziest thing I've ever come up with.
Yeah.
That being good in the Cactus League, when it's not just the star players, it's not like Tucker's hitting a home run every day, but when you have guys that are trying to make the roster, whether it's Workman or Palencia, some of these guys we'll talk about, when they're doing well, does it show that the future is at least bright in that the floor of the system is starting to rise a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about depth a lot. And Steven, what are you doing?
Keep going.
Okay. Steven's not here. The floor of the team, we talked about relievers a lot in terms of depth. And so I'm looking at the box score from Saturday's game against the White Sox. This is not just because Sean is our producer, but because a lot of bigger, well-known names pitched on Saturday against the White Sox. All right, Steele pitched. He pitched 2 innings. He had 5 Ks in 2 innings. All right, he allowed 2 hits, but no walks. All right, and it's just a spring training appearance. The first one, it was a really encouraging one if you care about spring training results. All right,
right.
But Steele pitched. Merriweather pitched. Thielbar pitched. Hodge pitched. Eli Morgan pitched. Ethan Roberts pitched. Trevor Richards pitched. Now, as it goes further into the game, it gets to a point where you're like, only the real diehards know some of these guys.
That's right. We're going to talk about some of those guys in a second.
But we've mentioned the names that I'm mentioning here. Like, obviously, other guys pitched the next day and other guys pitched the day before that. Like, they have a higher floor in the bullpen, no doubt. To me, there is no doubt there is a higher floor in the bullpen. And to me, as much as spring training results don't matter, a lot of those guys are out here trying to earn a job too. So, sure, yeah, maybe I went to bullpen because I think a lot of people are more concerned with the bullpen than anything else. I think most people are concerned with the bullpen or have questions about the bullpen.
Third base in the
else.
bullpen right now.
Right. So I just think that at the very least, the bullpen floor is higher. And that, to me, that's good news. Obviously, some guys could break out. Porter Hodge could be that breakout candidate. And Presley could look like Hector Neris, right? Like,
yeah.
It's one of those things. I think anyone who takes spring training results to heart, you're just I don't really understand you. But to see some of these guys out here and flash some of the things that I've seen so far is encouraging. Like I mentioned Riley Martin yesterday. Like it was in like the 7th or 8th inning. It didn't matter because all of like the minor leaguers in there at that point, but he flashed some things that I'm like, okay, I can see why he was a non-roster invitee, you know, like, and I've seen that with Ivan Bretthauer. I think that's how you say his name, right? Like those are little things. But as far as guys who are going to play in the bullpen, the way Council has managed it the first 4 days and getting guys working this and that, you're seeing like, man, they have a lot of options there. And they have a lot of guys who have had success. And they have some guys who could have success, have shown flashes of success, and could take that next step, that leap forward in 2025. So, again, I think you want to talk about floors, I think the floor for the bullpen for sure is higher.
Well, Jay Andrews in the live YouTube chat says results always matter. And again, I don't know that I agree with that. I don't necessarily believe in Cactus League stats and Cactus League records. But it is better to see your players doing well than it is to see them coming in going and looking horrible and being sloppy and out of shape and all of those things. I don't know that you're going to see that. I think here's my other theory for a 4-0 or whatever start they might get off to. They also might be slightly ahead of the teams they're playing because a lot of these guys got there earlier knowing that their season starts early in the middle of March in Tokyo.
That's fair.
Right? So it's possible they just might be a little bit further along in their progress getting ready for the season.
I will say,
regardless, it's not a bad thing.
Right. But I will say, how many times as Cubs fans have we gone into spring and seen Albert Almora have a hot spring, or how David Bodie had a hot spring?
Correct. Best shape of their lives.
Like it's to me it's all like with the core guys, it's all about health, and it's all about just getting to Japan. I truly care more about the fact that Matt Shaw has not played a game yet, and Nico Horner's hanging out in the broadcast booth with Boog and JD.
Justin Turner will play today.
Right. And Owen Casey, like another update on Saturday, like he's being shut down. And it looks like it was so vague the way Council explained it. Like either way, him missing a portion of the spring is setting him back going into the season. And whether he's on the Cubs roster or not, it's going to take him time to get to wherever he was going into the spring. And so that's frustrating as a fan and as someone who thinks that, he's going to make his debut this year. So, the things that I truly, really care about are things like that. And, Gage Workman's success, sure. You want to talk about like stats in spring training? Yes. His results do matter to me.
We can spin zone this however you want for the next hour. Matthew Boyd pitches today, then Ben Brown, Brad Keller, Tyson Miller, Jack Neely. But we've got some interesting notes about some of these guys that Cody's talking about that are further off the radar. That's coming up in a second. But first, Right On Optics. No matter what your outdoor activities you might prefer, it's always important to have the best view. Right On Optics offers a full range of optics products so you can see clearly. Everybody can use a good pair of binoculars. Better view your kid's sporting event. Maybe you bring them to a Cubs game because you're out in the bleachers or up in the cheap seats stuck with us. Right On offers higher performance at a lower price. The perfect balance of performance and value. They're not going to break the bank on you. Right On Optics have been around for over a decade. Every product receives a full quality control inspection. Right On promises an unlimited lifetime warranty. Not only covers defects, but also accidental damage from drops. Look, I always have the dropsies. Mm-hmm. If you got a kid in one hand and maybe a diaper bag in the other hand, your Right On Optics might fall down. They're going to cover you. Quality products you can trust. So check out the full line of Right On products today at rightonoptics.com/CHGO. That's RITON optics.com/CHGO. Can you see the buzz? No. Sean can't see the buzz. We must have taken care of it. All right, guys, listen. This is what I say. The car show, the auto show is gone, but the deals are still there, and you've seen the best vehicles out there. Toyota. The Chicago winter can be absolutely brutal, but Toyota helps make it easier. The snow's melting this week. Don't be tricked. I bet you it's not gone for good, and it'll be back next year in full force as well. Anyway, Toyota's got 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. They have more than any other auto brand out there. From the sleek Camry all-wheel drive to the Corolla hybrid all-wheel drive. The Toyota Tundra is a truck that's known for its power, durability, and off-road capabilities, perfect for our Chicago winters. Maybe you're headed to a big game this year. No matter what sport it might be, the spacious Grand Highlander is the perfect ride with all-wheel drive to keep you and yours safe. When I'm buying a car or a truck, Cody, for me it's about safety, performance, peace of mind, all of those things, and that's what you get with Toyota. So bring the action, and Toyota will bring the traction. Toyota, let's go places. By the way, good time to become a CHGO diehard. Upgrade your fandom today. Get access to our exclusive written content, free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join thousands of CHGO diehards in our community. We can't wait to connect with you, and we are taking this to a whole new level, so please jump in. Feel free to jump in on our bandwagon.
Shout out to, and I met him at Almost Home last year, post Friday 120 Club, or I guess it was post game for Friday 120 Club, random Friday. Demamp Workaholic 881 on Twitter. He told me over the weekend he became a diehard.
Nice.
So I expect to see him at Friday 120 Club this summer, because if not, I'm gonna be upset. So it's always cool when people tell you that online and stuff like that. So shout out to him.
With these sweet CHGO St. Patty's Day shirts. They should have a CHGO takeover at one of the establishments. Just a CHGO takeover on St. Patrick's Day.
Well, no one does St. Patrick's Day in the city like we do.
Nobody does St. Patrick's Day like Chicago. That is for sure.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere in the world. Nobody's doing St. Patrick's Day like we do.
I already got my St. Patrick's Day plans planned out. So I'm excited.
It's going to include one of these shirts.
Absolutely. And it's going to include doing exactly what that shirt says. So, yeah.
So we talked about, yes, we've seen Tucker taking it bat. We saw a nice catch by Ian Happ. Mm-hmm. We saw that Turner will play today. Mm-hmm. All of these things that you're hoping to get an eye. Matthew Boyd today. But how many times during a spring training game are you left saying to yourself, who is this guy? We're here for you. Yeah. To try to build on maybe somebody that you've already seen in the first 4 games that you're saying, who is this guy? Mm-hmm. For instance, you mentioned Gage Workman, that first game, home run. He's got like 3 RBI. The one thing that I was impressed with that I didn't expect, first of all, he's a tall guy. He's a big guy.
He's like 6'4".
Left-handed bat.
Yeah.
There'd be worse things to have potentially as your extra guy on the team. Mm-hmm. Potentially your backup at third base would be a left-handed bat with power.
Right.
Okay? And I was surprised at how smooth, at least for the moments that I was watching, how smooth he looked playing third base.
Yeah.
It was a clean third base. It wasn't like watching Morel and holding your breath. I'm not saying he's better than Morel. I'm not saying any of that. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying he looked comfortable at third base.
Yeah, his defense at third base, that's something that I think would transition to like regular season games.
Right. And he's a Rule 5 draft guy.
Right. So he has to make the team.
The team. He's only 25 years old.
Right. I just, Craig Counsell talked about him like the day after that game, and he gave him a lot of credit because that was the very first spring training game, and so there's a lot of nerves, especially for someone in his position. You're not Kyle Tucker or Ian Happ where you're going to be on the lineup opening day, right? This guy is fighting for a job. So we didn't really take too much into it when we watched it live last Thursday.
Right.
But we saw the very first play he made defensively in that first inning. He had another one either an inning or 2 later, and then he hit the home run later. Counsell openly said that he had a great day before he had the homer because of the defense. So listen, we know how much this team takes pride in defense and they put a lot into that. And I'll say this, at the very least, if he is a defensive replacement on the Cubs in 2025, it's still a better option than anyone else that they had there last season. I don't know if he's going to be able to hit because he hasn't even faced AAA pitching.
Right.
But if you decide to keep him, he can be a really valuable defensive replacement at the very least. It's just, how do you want a roster spot to be for a guy who's a defensive replacement and that's it? That's on them. He's got to continue to produce at the plate to earn a job. So you hit that home run the first game. I think either the game after the game or the third game.
He had an RBI in the next game, I think.
He had an RBI ground out, right?
Yeah.
He hasn't had a few strikeouts, but he's put the ball in play, it feels like, so far. And again, it's 4 games, so I'm not putting too much into it. But when I talk about guys I'm looking at, like, this guy has caught my eye, and we'll see. I could certainly feel completely different in a week, But
at the end of the day, we could feel different.
Right. But the defense, I think we can all sit here and say, okay, Fangraphs wasn't wrong when they graded him like 70.
Yeah, Craig Brindle says 70 grade defender. Demario Hall says, I predict Workman will get a spot over Brujan. Yeah. Maybe it sounds like Brujan is more versatile,
yes.
Right? I think we saw him in the outfield some, but maybe the upside of big power left side, especially with Owen Casey shut down, maybe that's something you want to keep around in your organization. Another name that popped up, and I had to Google this, Jonathon Long, 2 RBI yesterday, first baseman, third baseman out of Long Beach State, moved up to AA Tennessee last summer. He is a 9th round pick of the Cubs from 2023.
Yep. So
it's just...
Go ahead. You say what you want to say first.
it's not like those guys don't make the big leagues and become real players. They do. So I'm okay with seeing some sparks from a guy or somebody in the roster because if you're developing players, that's the type of thing that has to happen when you start building a strong organization again, is you have to start hitting on some of the other draft picks. It can't just be your first round guy every year.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, he had a huge year in the minors last year.
And he was good at the Arizona Fall League.
Yeah. So in the combined high A and double A last year, a combined 489 plate appearances. He had a walk rate of 14%. He struck out at 20.7%, which is below league average. And his walk rate is above league average, right? But 283, 391, 461 slash line with a 395 or a 394 weighted on base average and a 149 WRC plus. The guy mashed at Double A last year. He had a near 1,000 OPS, I believe, in Double A in that time period. 983. Yeah, 983 at Double A. So the guy earned a chance to come to Major League camp and see what he can do. First baseman, right-handed hitter, had the 2 RBIs yesterday. I mean, it is a little exciting considering no one was really talking about him in the second half of last season, at least
But now it's a name I'll watch the rest of the spring.
Yeah.
If for a Cactus League game, if I hear that he's coming up next, I will pause and wait and see what, yes, Shane, Johnny Long, I will wait to see what he's doing.
Yeah. So he's certainly a guy that I would not be surprised if he somehow reaches the Cubs this year if, Bush falls off and if there's some injuries along the way or something and he continues to mash at AAA.
Justin Turner's old.
Yeah, I will assume he will get to AAA at some point this year. So it'd be interesting to see where they start him at the beginning of the year, whether it's back in AAA or back in AA or put him in AAA. But he's definitely shown why he had a near 1,000 OPS in AA last year and however many games it was. So yeah.
Another guy we saw out there was Rizzo McGuire, probably just catching depth at Iowa, but he's a former Red Sox catcher, Blue Jays. Yeah, like he's kind of been all over. The Red Sox DFA'd him after they made the trade to acquire Danny Jensen.
Yeah.
And otherwise, but defensively, they like what he is. So even if this is just a player who goes down to Iowa and is defensively helping call pitching and helping these young pitchers try and develop down there before they come up, that's another guy that could be a piece of the franchise. I'm not saying on the major league team, but he's depth down there and he may have a role in the franchise. Craig Brindle mentions, I don't even know how to say the name, but that's why I didn't. Berthauer, the guy that looks like Aaron Judge.
Brett Hauer. That's what
Bert Hauer?
Bert Hauer, yeah. I thought it was spelled Brett Hauer, but
we call him Big Bert.
He's tall like Aaron Judge, has his batting stance is similar to Aaron Judge. He even says that he kind of defines his game.
He's like Luke Little, only a position player.
Sure, yeah.
he's a giant.
Yeah. He is a very big baseball player. Back to McGuire. I've found it interesting in the first 4 games, and this could certainly change, that Moises Ballesteros is mostly DH'd. And so I'm not saying he's not going to catch for the Cubs in 2025 or at least in the minors, but I have, it does. At least I don't think he has at all. I could be completely wrong on that. I'm trying to look at their box scores right now because I know he's only played in 2 or 3 games. I know opening day of spring training he didn't catch. He did come in as a defensive replacement to catch in the second game of the year.
Where's he from? UC Santa Barbara?
Spring training. Yeah.
UC Santa Barbara, he transferred previously from Arizona State. Breathauer. I would say Breathauer.
Breathauer.
I
he's
just
from
call
Kansas. 6'6" from Kansas.
How about Big Ivan?
Boy.
Kind of dig the hair on this picture you're showing us. That's a good hairstyle.
What's it say? 250?
He's a big dude. Big
The
dude.
Bears could work.
7th
him.
round
6'6",
pick.
250.
6'6", 250.
That's an end.
Yeah.
His home run he hit on the first game of the year was like, okay.
But it sent everybody scrambling for who?
Yeah. So
Who is this guy? That's a game we can play all spring.
But anyway, yeah, I have found it interesting that they haven't, like in games that Ballesteros has started, I don't believe he's been the catcher. So, you know.
We're going to talk about two names that you've definitely heard before around Cubs baseball in just a second. But first, Cody's going to tell us about his favorite partner.
Circa Sports. Let me tell you, whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game. Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. March Madness is coming. Who do you like? What bets are you watching, Luke? All I can say is...
Illini?
No. No. All I can say is
my.
Illinois will undoubtedly, by like the real like analytical nerds, they will undoubtedly be like the sleeper pick in people's brackets. They will be, and they shouldn't be, but they will be because they fit all the analytical stuff, but they have looked like absolute trash the last 3 games.
I didn't catch the
including on
end of the
Saturday.
Duke game, but I saw the score at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not great, Bob. It's not great. So tonight, Lamar from Texas. Lamar money line. Taking it again. Let's go.
That's what I was thinking. I woke up this morning. I thought Lamar money line.
Yeah, if you want to bet a team you know or maybe you heard of, Michigan Wolverines should beat Nebraska at Nebraska today. They're minus 122. And then the Nuggets, they just lost to the Lakers. And I don't think they should have. It's a 9-game losing streak. They only have to beat the Pacers by 5. I'll take the Nuggets by 5. And
I do like Michigan tonight as well, even though it feels like a trap.
Oh.
It feels like a trap.
Yeah, it sounds like a
no,
trap.
but they just lost to Michigan, right? They
Michigan
lost to
State.
Ohio State, right? It was Michigan, Ohio State. I think they just lost to Ohio State
No,
or
they
Michigan
just lost
State.
to
Michigan played
State.
Michigan
They just lost
State.
a big game. This is this is where they lock in.
But
Well,
Fred
the
Hoiberg, you're going to
spread should
bet
be
against
bigger.
Fred Hoiberg?
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey guys, our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays, an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by more than 300,000 people. Durable frames, they have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. Probably have a style in your favorite team's colors. I know they do. And let me just tell you, Shady Rays, I wear them driving. I wear them golfing. I wear them fishing. You ask why golfing? Because I can never find my ball in the rough unless I'm wearing my Shady Rays because they're polarized and that white ball sticks out even in the deepest of the rough. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. No risk when you shop. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code CHGO. It's 4 simple letters.
I need to get a new pair before I go to Arizona.
CHGO. 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by more than 300,000 people. I feel like we should get the Cubs players some Shady Rays. Polarized. Why? Because that high sky out there in Arizona, everything looks the same. That's why they're always dropping fly balls in the Cactus League. Not just the Cubs, everybody.
Alcantara lost one in the sky on Saturday.
Not just say everybody.
I said Alcantara.
I
not
know.
Saturday.
I know. I was just making
Alcantara,
a
we
joke.
haven't talked about enough. He has probably of any prospect the first 4 games. He is the one who has stood out to me the most. You can see exactly why he is a Cubs top 100 prospect. Why a lot of people are high on him. The guy has been fun to watch in the first 4 games. I'm acting way too excited about spring training stuff. I understand that.
I want to see him play in the regular season. I know he's already said like, hey, those top 100 guys, you're going to see a lot of them. We're going to see a lot of
But it's interesting.
guys contribute this year. Maybe not all year, maybe just part of the year, but guys are going to start to get their shot.
It's interesting on what Alcantara's role will be because they DFA'd Canario, and we still have to wait for how that process goes out. They better get something for him from whoever. But then they picked up Travis Jankowski on like Friday or Saturday.
I was confused by that.
And I was confused, but I feel like it's just a sign that Alcantara is going to start the year in Iowa, and probably because they want him to get every day at bats.
And I know Canario was out of options, so you had to figure that out. But I don't know, is Jankowski really?
I will. As far as defense, you think I don't know anything about Jankowski's defense off the top of my head, but I would lean to bet that his defense is better than Canario's. Canario,
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Canario as an outfielder was bad defensively.
Listen, it didn't like when we talked about it on the last show that we did, it didn't break my heart. I was just a little confused that it happened this early into camp and that it was they weren't able to do something earlier when his stock was higher, when he's hitting 37 home runs before the injury. And I know it, but that's the problem. If you hang on to guys too long, injuries and other things can decrease to the value to where at some point your Brendan Davis is walking out the door, your top prospect, or right? That's like, the argument I was making on Thursday. All the guys that were number one prospects on the Cubs, who you never even get a taste of what they can do because they hang on too long.
I just don't think Brendan Davis is the same as Canario. That's the only reason I'm rolling my eyes. That's the only reason.
Well, and you roll your eyes at most things I say, which I understand.
That's not true. That's not true.
How about this?
I bet you roll your eyes at things that I say.
All the time.
Yeah.
You never see it, but I do it all the time.
You do it whenever I'm not looking at you.
Don't worry, it's behind your back for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get off the show and say to Sean, did you hear what he was talking about?
Did you hear that?
Did you catch the second segment? The delusion?
Okay.
You see the delusion I'm working with, Sean?
This guy,
And then Sean says the same thing. Man, that old guy, he's crazy. I wasn't here one day, and everybody on the show was talking about how old I was. Speaking of old,
yeah, this is a good segue.
Speaking of old, I don't know how it's happened, but in the blink of an eye, Anthony Rizzo and Kris Bryant, among others, have become old. Okay, like it's just
time flies.
Time flies. Like I'm thinking of, I was watching or I was reading the Rizzo stuff over the weekend. Yeah. If you didn't see the quote, Rizzo told Ken Rosenthal, The Athletic, he still doesn't have a team as of the live recording of this show, said, I'm surprised, but not like crazy surprised, just because I'm a realist in the game and you're getting older. The fact that teams want you to play for basically the league minimum, which is $760,000, I'm like, you guys are crazy. You're almost trying to ruin the market for the next guy. Basically, he's saying he's not going to play. If there's a team out there, the Pirates are somebody that's saying, come play for the minimum, $760,000. Rizzo is saying, thanks, no thanks. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. Okay? We'll get to Bryant in a second, but Rizzo alone, okay, there's two parts of that. There's two parts of that when you're sitting there. But the first thing I did was flash back to being at Comcast Sportsnet back in the day and driving to Iowa to see the new guy that they had traded for, Anthony Rizzo, and interviewing him and him saying to me, the future is coming. The future is now. Something like that, right? And I was like, man, this kid's got it. Like, there's some swag to that. Then I watched him hit 2 home runs in 2 days. And the only thing I couldn't figure out was him running down to first base, and it was just it was like watching a wild bull run down to first. There was just dust everywhere, right? It wasn't graceful, but it was fast enough, and it was like, okay, can't wait to see this guy play. That seems like yesterday in my mind. And to hear him say he realizes he could be done playing Major League Baseball if somebody doesn't give him more than $760,000 is just shocking to me. Not shocking because I don't understand it. It's just one of those reminders where you're like, wow, time really does fly, especially for these Major League athletes.
Yeah.
But also, it has the normal human being in me that says he's going to walk away from $760,000. I know he's made a lot of money. Do you remember how much $760,000 is?
Yeah.
I know it's the minimum in baseball, and I know you've made millions, but for a man who does so many great things in the community and beyond, there can't be anything else out there that you're most likely going to be like, yeah, I could make $760,000 and I could still do great things with that.
One more Bryzzo commercial and he's got that. Nostalgia sells. I don't disagree with them. I mean, if I'm Anthony Rizzo and I've had this long of a career, this name, I would at least need a major league deal that's going to give me $1 million. Chris Flexen got $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, 40-year-old Justin Turner.
With that. It's just the number itself sits to me and goes, well, $760,000 could go a long way.
What, Turner got 6?
Yeah. Turner, 40-year-old Justin Turner got $6 million for 1 year. Like,
yeah, I would be willing to, if I were a team, I'd be willing to give Rizzo that. I have another idea, and it includes Bryant. To me, if Rizzo doesn't get that offer. If Rizzo doesn't get an offer from another team and he's done, then he should get one more offer. And it should be, hi, it's Jed and Tom. We're going to do a ceremonial 1-day contract. You're retiring as a Cub. Are you in? Mm-hmm. That's how it should go down. Whenever it is time for Rizzo to walk away and Bryant, both of them should get that more or less ceremonial 1-day contract, and the last team on their sheet should be Chicago Cubs.
Right.
Period.
Well, both are very different situations considering contracts right now. But Rizzo, for me, I think the reason that he hasn't signed with the team, outside of the fact that he probably just doesn't want to make the league minimum, is the fact that he has been hurt the last 2 years. Ever since him and I think it was Fernando Tatis Jr. 2 years ago collided at first base or whatever. The way he got the concussion, like the way the Yankees handled that, like he is just downturn since then. And then last year, the power really disappeared. He had injuries last year too. Everyone always talks about the back. I get it.
They both deal with back issues.
If the Cubs starting first baseman wasn't a left-handed hitter, I would have been pounding the table about it all winter. I want him to sign with the team just so people stop asking me about it at this point, because I'm tired of people asking me about it. But it really doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense for the Cubs. You just signed Justin Turner, a right-handed hitter, to platoon with Michael Busch. And yeah, like it.
By the way, Turner, 1 for 1.
The Cubs are not going to sign him. I will be shocked. Absolutely shocked if he is a Chicago Cub before opening day.
I only mean in the ceremonial way.
No, I know what you mean. I'm just saying this for everyone who continues to come to our chat and ask about it, or people on social media who continue to ask me about it.
I get it. I'm surprised no other team. I'm surprised the White Sox or some team hasn't been like, hey man, we'll give you 2 years.
I'm surprised the Yankees.
2 years?
Yeah.
That's like 1 year for sure, but the
what
Sox
are they paying,
don't need a
what
first
are the
baseman.
Sox paying Benintendi? Their biggest contract in franchise history?
Why do we need to talk about this?
Okay.
What does that have to do
Well,
with
he's
anything?
better than him.
Yeah, and they signed him a mistake 2 years ago. They're not going to sign Rizzo for 2 years.
I agree with Sean. I'm surprised the Yankees
I
just
wouldn't
haven't
want
brought
him to
him
play
back.
for the White Sox.
I'm surprised the Yankees haven't just brought him back.
Right.
To be like a bench player or something. I think that's another thing too, is he probably does want to start. It sounds like he has a lot of pride. He has a lot of pride, and he feels like if he's healthy, he can play. Right?
I appreciate the fact that he's trying to not ruin things for the next guy coming up.
Sure.
Setting the market differently for somebody else. I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just know that the everyday person out there he's turning down $760,000 and they say, can I have half of your talent, please? But no, that's why he has that opportunity. He's played in less than 100 games each of the last 2 years.
Right. So with Rizzo, maybe he's one of those that gets picked up in like May or something. Like a team deals with an injury and they need a guy. It's disrespectful, but I'm looking at him as like a Dom Smith or a Garrett Cooper of last year. That's how I'm looking at him. Not in terms of money, but just I think he's better
than that. I mean, he's better.
No, I agree.
Right now, isn't Anthony Rizzo
role
better than Hosmer was when we signed Hosmer? Or Mancini?
Hosmer got the veteran minimum, though.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Is he better? I mean, I don't know. I think Rizzo's thing has been injuries. The last 2 years, it's been injuries. It has nothing to do with performance. I think it has to do with injuries. Before he collided with Fernando Tatis Jr.,
Yes.
he was having an insane season to where I was going to probably sit in here and be like, I can't believe we still haven't fixed first base. That was before Michael Busch was here. All right.
Meanwhile,
Anyway.
in Colorado, Kris
The other
Bryant
guy.
on Sunday comes up to the plate twice and walks twice. And the post-game quote is, "This was a big game for me. Honestly, just being on the field, feeling good and playing baseball is a big win for me. I'm just pretty proud of myself for getting to this point and getting back on the field." That's a guy who signed a 7-year, $182 million deal. You want to talk about bad deals? And I know some people said, "Oh, why won't the Rockies just eat all of it like they ate for Arenado and send him back and let him be?"
They
Listen,
got
it's not happening.
for
He
Arenado.
played 37 games last year.
Yeah.
He played 37 games last year. I can't believe how fast time flies for those two guys. Like coming in, bursting onto the scene, Bryzzo, all of the commercials, all of the fun, the World Series, the golden era, and
It's been almost 10 years.
this is where it's at,
It
right?
is where it is.
It is where it is.
Like I said,
But wouldn't you like to see him retire a Cub when it's all said and done?
I'd like to see them all retire as a Cub.
Well, I was going to say, the other guy is Javi. We don't even know what the Tigers are going to do with Javi because it's been such a disaster, a huge deal. I think all three, and Kyle Hendricks, who's another one. Kyle Hendricks, who's off playing for the Angels now. When they're done, I hope what will happen will be a ceremony at Wrigley Field. They sign the one-day, contract, and they retire as Cubs. That's what I would like to see. I don't need to see him play a game, but that's what I would like to see.
Kris Bryant is his situation is so different from Anthony Rizzo's in the fact that he is on a massive deal and he's being talked about as having one of the worst contracts in Major League Baseball history. People are saying he is competing with Anthony Rendon for worst contracts in Major League Baseball history. I know he got a lot of.
I know Benintendi's on that list too.
Not really. It is
he
for the White Sox, but like
he is considered by like how bad his WAR is compared to what his contract
fair
is.
enough. But like those like Anthony or Andrew Benintendi is not. He's never played the caliber of a Kris Bryant or an Anthony Rendon. Okay. And Sean, what was it? Like,
I don't need to talk about this. This
Okay.
is the Cubs podcast.
Thank you.
So, no, you're 100% right. He was never to the level of Rendon and Bryant. Still never even made over $100 million like those guys did as well, and is still one of the worst contracts of all time. It's great.
Fair enough. You want to talk about analytics and stuff with it, fine. But when you talk about guys who were at the peak of their game, considered one of the best players in the league, Anthony Rendon and Kris Bryant were both those types of players. You in 2018 or in 2017, there were people arguing about best third baseman in baseball, and it was between Nolan Arenado, Kris Bryant, and Anthony Rendon. Okay, so the Bryant stuff, like I quote tweeted that video from Patrick Lyons last night of him saying that, and I'm just like
So sad.
I am grasping for straws for Kris Bryant to just have a good month at this point. Of course, when those guys were traded, I didn't want them to go on and make the Cubs look like they're a bunch of morons, but it's gone off the ledge
gone
so
too far
bad.
the other way, yeah.
It's gone so far the other way that I'm so sad about it, and that I just want him to revive his career and play out the rest of his deal and at least have some sort of success. You read the replies to that tweet that Patrick Lyons said on that video, and it's like people are like, I mean, it's the internet, and people will say whatever they want behind a screen. Me and you both are victim of it, but like, it's so bad that people are like telling him to go break another bone or something like that.
Right.
Like it's incredibly sad. So for what he's saying in this quote, like that he's just happy to
that's
get
some real talk right there.
for him to just say that to get to
2
that
walks.
point.
It was a big game.
For him to just be healthy in camp right now, yeah, it's a massive win. And at this point, I think we're all just looking for some baby steps for him. I know he's on the Rockies, and I know most fans don't even care. And I think he probably takes way too much slander from Cubs fans over the last 10 years, with how the whole contract thing was handled by not only him and Scott Boras, but also the Cubs, that it's just like time heals. Like it's been a while. Like,
and yes, he took the money. Wouldn't we all take the money?
So
of course we would.
All I'm saying is
we would all take the money.
Would the Cubs even give them the money? I mean, we're seeing this play out with Bregman, and these are guys that won the World Series, and they traded him, and it didn't seem like they were even active in their free agency.
He deserves it because he chased the money, and he went to Colorado where he knows he's never going to win. Hey, I don't know that he deserves what he's getting. He's going to... Is it nice that he'll have $180 million in his pocket? Yes, but he's a human being. And he still wants to play baseball. Can't people be a little more human? I saw the comments too. That's what I was thinking was like,
no,
it's not like this is a bad human being. Like, what is going on?
We live in a society now where no one has any empathy. And I don't know. It is what it is. I'm just happy that he's healthy right now. There was a video that came out like a week before this video where he got hit by a pitch doing live BP.
I think it was the first pitch in BP.
Yeah, and I'm like...
Of the spring.
I'm like, can we just not?
Yeah. And he all he did was get hit, turn around, and walk away.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know he was frustrated.
He also, in that video that Patrick Lyons tweeted, talked about, like, I guess he made some changes mechanically to his stance and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. All I know is that from this show where we are legitimately rooting for this guy to at least get back to a respectable level. He's at a point where no one talks about him anymore. And when they do, they talk about how much money he's making that he doesn't deserve. And it's just... I would have never wished this on Kris Bryant. I never would have wished this on him or Javi Baez. And, it sucks that Wilson Contreras is the one who shit on the organization and he's the one who's still playing well. So if anyone's deserving of a downfall like that, it's him, in my very, very grudgy opinion. But,
Rogue Wave asking in the chat, by the way, is he basically a DH? Yeah, he's kind of talked about that, like trying to stay off his feet. And yeah, I would agree with what Rogue Wave Creative said too. Players make a lot of money. They deserve it. Yeah. Listen, if you can do something that nobody else can do, and that company or business makes a lot of money, that's how there's people all over the world that get paid money for doing things stranger than playing baseball that makes people happy. So just let it go.
I know what I just said. Like, I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I wouldn't wish this on Wilson Contreras. I just have a massive grudge still. But the thing is that the downfall. When is it going to turn? I would like for some of these guys' careers to be revived. Rizzo is different because he's old. Like 35, 36 now. Like, Bryant and Javi went through this downfall in what was supposed to be the primes of their careers.
Yeah.
I just want them to have some sort of a reset. Something like that at least reminds people like, hey, these guys were dogs at one point. You know, these guys won a World Series for a reason.
That's why I would like to see that's why I enjoyed Rizzo coming back last year for that series with the Yankees. It's why I would like to see them retire as a Cub in a ceremony.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a nice way for this to all end and at least bring it back to a positive light. Let's do this real quick because I've been waiting to do this list because it drove me crazy when I saw it.
Great.
You don't have to show it, Sean.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to describe it. MLB Network over the last 3-4 weeks, they started releasing their top one, the way their guys rank the top 100 players currently in baseball.
Well, Luke, since we tried to do it 100 times, it's still here,
in the system, right? Each day we've pushed it off the list because everybody says nobody cares how crazy this list is. But I just points out why lists are so crazy. The Cubs have 6 guys in the top 100, which actually sounds pretty good. Doesn't sound too bad. Kyle Tucker being the highest at number 14. Shota then at 64, Seiya at 73, Steele at 88, Happ at 92, Dansby at 93. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Are they missing a player?
I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. Fine. Put him wherever you want to put him.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that Alex Bregman was as high as 37, by the way. Okay. So the top 2 guys would have been, if he would have been a Cub, Tucker and Bregman. Interesting. What's crazy to me after watching baseball games that this guy played in last year, and I know it was just a shorter time. That's right, Sean Caselli. Isaac Paredes at 85, better than Justin Steele, Ian Happ, or Dansby Swanson. I know that two of those three guys take a lot of slander from some fans that get angry because of contracts.
I think
But
it's more
if
than contracts,
anybody out
but-
there watching Major League Baseball wants to really tell me that Isaac Paredes is a better player than Dansby Swanson, Ian Happ, or Justin Steele, I will tell you, you are out of your mind. And that doesn't mean he might not hit 40 bombs for the Astros this year because they got the Crawford boxes. I'm just saying, I watched him play last year. There is no way he is better than those three players. No way. And that doesn't mean I don't like the player. Doesn't mean I don't think he might be a good fit in Houston. Even if he is, there's no way he's better than those three guys.
What's funny to me is that they put him like right there, right, just barely ahead of Steele, Ian Happ, and Dansby Swanson. MLB Network, when it came to ranking left fielders, they put Ian Happ as high as we put on our National League one. For all of baseball in left field, they put Ian Happ in like the top 3. So for him to be number 92 on their all MLB top 100 is actually kind of like confusing. I know that their all top 100 has pitchers on it, so that's probably why him and Swanson are both so like, I guess in this case, low. But I mean, a lot of it is what it is. But I tend to agree with you based off what we saw. But I do think Paredes will fit Houston a lot better. And the only thing about Paredes that I also was kind of left underwhelming outside of the fact that he only hit well outside of Wrigley is that his defense wasn't very great either. Like, he was probably an average defender.
There were times where I said to you, he is a straight butcher at third base.
Yeah, there were.
There were nights where I looked and said, Cody, that man is a butcher with brick hands over at third base. He had like a 3-air game.
Yeah.
Where it was like every ground ball was boot, boot, boot. I don't know.
But he has an all-star season underneath him, like when he was with Tampa Bay, and his 2023 was really good.
Can you at this point, can you put Wilson Contreras ahead of Steele and Happ and Swanson?
He's still hit pretty well. He's still hitting pretty well for what he's done. The defense, you know.
I'll be honest.
It's hard to do that with pitchers and position players.
I'm not sure how I would do it. Maybe we'll do it here before the season starts, but just like ranking Cubs players in the same fashion, like one through, the roster, or maybe just do a top 10 Cubs players this year. I'm not even sure I put Shota's at 64, but Seiya's at 73. I don't know if I put Seiya ahead of at least two of those guys. Out of that group of Steele, Happ, and Swanson.
I would put Seiya ahead of all three of those.
Definitely?
Yeah. But like the thing, again, it
wouldn't be by much if he was.
It's hard to say that Seiya Suzuki's better than Justin Steele. Like, Justin Steele's a pitcher and Seiya Suzuki's a position player,
That's right.
But when you talk about overall value, I mean, Seiya Suzuki had top 10 OPS for outfielders last year. Since, I think Marquee put a stat for him up on their screen yesterday, since August of 2023.
And does this list change now that he's a DH? Like, does his
Maybe.
value go down? Because he's only doing one thing. Now, like Steele does one thing. He's a starting pitcher, an elite starting pitcher.
I don't know. But the point what I was getting at is since August of 2023, he has a top 10 OPS in baseball. He's on a list with guys like Juan Soto and Aaron Judge since August of 2023 in terms of OPS. So I think you could make the argument that Seiya deserves to be higher on the list.
Interesting.
But when you compare a position player and a pitcher, it's like, okay, which one means more to the team? Probably Justin Steele, because he's a guy who's gone out there and pitched 170 some innings. But that's different than just saying who's more valuable of a player. I think Seiya Suzuki's offense has proven over the last couple of years to be among the tops of the league in terms of if we're talking about strictly offense, we can talk about him being a top 30 hitter in baseball at the very least. Justin Steele, I think you can make the argument that he's a top 30 pitcher in baseball too. But
24 spots behind Shota.
Now that doesn't make sense to me.
It's just, I know, listen, they can't spend all day going over each guy back and forth, back and forth. This is just kind of
it's a list. I love list season, so we can just
I'm
critique it and make
I'm
fun of
glad
it.
Dansby's on there. If he's not a top 100 player, I would totally disagree with that.
I am obviously going to agree with Sean because his name is Sean, Sean, and not Shaun. I know Sean Dunstan spelled it weird, but whatever. Sean Caselli said, if my aunt had wheels, she'd be a bicycle, which would be true. What?
That's how I know. See, I don't disagree with that.
You know what? I mean, if Seiya Suzuki could play right field and not every single highlight that I know of him playing right field was him dropping a ball, you're referring to it in reads with the Shady Rays thing. Like, you know, if he could defend, maybe
Fair
it would be
enough.
a little bit nicer for him.
Well, yeah, no, that's fair too. You can certainly make the argument that maybe Seiya shouldn't be as high on the list, but I already know this season I will be defending Seiya Suzuki while Luke is sitting on the couch while we're watching the game complaining about him.
I won't be complaining about him because he won't be in right field.
Okay.
Like as a hitter, I like Say as a hitter.
Okay.
I love Say as a hitter. You
Great.
know, I think Demario said in the chat that he believes Say is the second best player on the team. I think he has the perfect spot now. Right?
Well, yeah, we've already in 4 games we've seen how bad he's been in defensively as well. And again, it's 4 spring training games, but whatever. Like you can tell that there's a reason Kyle Tucker's going to be playing the outfield. So
he's a man. Somebody just gave up a 3-run homer. I don't know who that was.
really,
Oh, I don't. Yeah, as a White Sox fan, I don't even know who Chris Gonzalez is. Chris Gonzalez was not even an NRI that I saw like pop up on MLB trade rumors. I don't know who this guy is. I have no idea, and he's been terrible. There was the bases loaded, full count, and instead of throwing a pitch, he got a pitch clock violation and walked a batter home.
We're going to talk about a lot of the guys that are playing today. A lot of interesting names pitching for the Cubs today. We'll see how that goes. Justin Turner, a hit in his first at bat. We'll probably talk about that and all kinds of stuff. Cubs baseball. That's tomorrow live at 1:30. Make sure you join us on the YouTube chat. If you're doing this podcast form and you're just listening to it later, we appreciate you too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, a like, and all those positive reviews. We appreciate.
James Triantos, sack fly. Cubs lead 1-0.
Call him up. If Nico's hurt, call him up.
Anyway,
Something to keep an eye on.
we're ending the show with a positive note.
Thank you. Thank you to joining and watching and listening to the CHGO Cubs podcast. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. What is that number?
32.
That is not enough.
Not enough.
That is not enough. We appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Until tomorrow, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.
Okay.
All right. So at 3:00,
Sean, can you send me the Studio B link?
Cole Mathis.